How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome across the nation. It is Eric Erickson here. Phone lines are open, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, we have some news here out of the gate. The government of the United States has seized a number of Venezuelan tankers which decided to hoist the Russian flag, which makes the whole situation much more intriguing. In fact, it turns out, according to multiple sources from inside the White House, the Russians decided to send submarines to tag along with the ships to try to protect them from seizure by the United States. It turns out a submarine is not exactly a good strategy to deploy against an American helicopter. We landed a helicopter on the tanker off the coast of Scotland, no less. It had gotten that far to Scotland, and we decided to seize it. There was nothing the Russians can do. It is now under American control. There are two others as well. The United States has sent a list of demands to Venezuela. The president of the United States is telling the Venezuelans, according to multiple news outlets, led first by ABC News, they deserve credit for the scoop that is now being confirmed by the White House. The president is telling the Venezuelans, you will remove the Iranians, the Cubans, the Chinese, and the Russians from Venezuela, and you will allow us to sell your oil for you and to handle the processing of your oil. And you will reimburse American oil companies for all the work they did to build up your oil facilities that you then stole from them, or else we'll just keep you shut down. Not a bad play. Not a bad play. The president is taking this very seriously. Meanwhile, Chris Wright has been speaking to a Goldman Sachs conference. If you don't know Chris Wright, he keeps his head down under the radar. He is the Secretary of Energy, and he was explaining to folks at Goldman Sachs what we're actually going to do.
The president recently announced your role in executing the plan to turn over between 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the U.S. We learned about that as an investment community yesterday. What can you share about the recent announcement and talk about the plans to execute this?
Yeah, so look, I'm working directly in cooperation with the Venezuelans, and we are going to. This is the crude that's backed up in onshore storage and that's in offshore floating storage. We're just going to get that crude moving again and sell it, just like we did in our businesses. We're going to market the crude coming out of Venezuela, first this backed up stored oil, and then indefinitely going forward, we will sell the production that comes out of Venezuela into the marketplace. We will have U.S. as the supplier of diluent that's got to get down there to enable that production. We're going to have that flowing again. And as we make progress with the government, we'll enable the importing of parts and equipment and services to kind of prevent the industry from collapsing, stabilize the production, and then as quickly as possible start to see it growing again. And of course, in the long run, create the conditions that the major American companies that were there before, or maybe that weren't there before but want to be there, will go in. The resources are immense. This should be a wealthy, prosperous, peaceful energy powerhouse. That's the plan.
By the way, Chris Wright is the most understated and underrated secretary within the cabinet. He's a brilliant man who gets what's going on. Now, let me read you some of the details from the Wall Street Journal that have hit the wires. And by the way, If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, the very first link is the show notes. It's not behind a paywall. Anybody can get it. It's abridged because I literally did not sit down at my desk until 11 a.m. because I forgot I had an orthodontist appointment to deal with these stupid braces. So nonetheless, you're listening to Radio on the Fly today, all off the top of my head, no script, done in real time as I'm talking to you. Let me read you this Wall Street Journal story, a link of which is in the show notes. The U.S. accelerated its campaign against a shadow fleet of tankers that ship Venezuelan oil, with the military forcibly boarding a ship, being escorted by the Russian Navy, and seizing another tanker in the Caribbean Sea. The confiscation of the two tankers continued an extraordinary string of actions on the high seas by the U.S. military and Coast Guard, which are targeting vessels around Venezuela that the administration says are engaging in deceptive practices and carrying illicit oil shipments. 4 vessels are now in U.S. custody, and the quasi-embargo in the Caribbean has crippled Venezuelan oil exports. It also marks another escalation in President Trump's pledge to take control of the Venezuelan oil industry. Early on Wednesday, a special operations force boarded a ship called the Marinera, not Marinara Italian, I guess it's Marinera, tanker formerly known as the Bella One. The Coast Guard had been pursuing the vessel for 2 weeks on an odyssey that began near Venezuela and ended south of Iceland, U.S. officials said. Over that time, the ship, which was not carrying oil, changed its name and claimed Russian protection. Adding to the stakes, a Russian Navy ship and submarine began escorting the ship. The submarine had been communicating with the tanker over the past 3 days, some of the officials said, and video from the Marinera was broadcast on RT, a Russian-backed news channel. The Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, nicknamed the Night Stalkers, played a prominent role in seizing the ship, according to the photos of the operation. The U.S. brought in a P-8 Poseidon sub-hunter aircraft, F-35 jet fighters, and AC-130J gunships to support the boarding operation since Russian military assets were nearby. The officials said tanker captains and mechanics would be sent on board to operate the vessel. The U.S. military said the Marinera was seized pursuant to a warrant issued by a U.S. federal court. Russia's Ministry of Transport said that at approximately 3 p.m. Moscow time, U.S. Navy forces boarded the Marinera in the open sea. Russia's state news agency TASS reported contact with the vessel was lost. The Marinera received temporary permission to sail under the Russian state flag on December 24th. The ministry noted that no state has the right to use force against vehicles duly registered. Literally, this is what happened. I make this up. I'm not making this up at all. This ship was sailing. It's called the Bella One. They decide they're transgender and re-identify as the Marinera, and literally they start painting a Russian flag, like hauling off held over the side of the railings of this oil tanker. They're painting a Russian flag on it as it sails. It's a Timu Russian tanker. This is Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas. Outlaw tankers don't get to run black market oil for rogue regimes like Iran and Venezuela, then claim Russian protection once America's in pursuit. These criminals literally painted a Russian flag on the hull while they ran away from our ships. Give me a break. Now, the question is, why didn't we seize them sooner? I don't know the answer to that. The Coast Guard was pursuing them for days. They had ships fast enough to pursue the ship, but they didn't engage sooner. I'm not sure why. There is a rumor circulating you should know about. Very important. You should know about this rumor. The rumor is that we have cut an under-the-table deal. Russia can have Ukraine if we get Venezuela. That's the rumor. Now, it's being vehemently denied, just so you know, vehemently denied by the powers that be. And it looks like the Ukraine deal is on the verge of collapse yet again. Now, here's what you need to know. We're carving out a Ukraine deal. It would involve French and British military forces on the ground in Ukraine to keep the peace. Not us, but them. In so doing, the Russians would preserve territory in the east. Ukraine would be guaranteed peace by Russia, which they've guaranteed before. Ukraine would not join NATO, might join the EU, but there would be peace. Now, here's what I'm told, and I believe I'm right in this, and I believe that the people telling me this are right, is the reason Volodymyr Zelensky is willing to go along with this deal at this point is because he doesn't believe the Russians will accept it, and he thinks as soon as President Trump realizes he's been played again by Putin, that the president will continue to help Ukraine. Likewise, the Czech Republic, Poland, and one other Eastern European country, I can't remember which one, they have committed billions of dollars to buying weapons from the United States via NATO to transfer to Ukraine, and the president is willing to go along with that deal. So Ukraine's like, we got nothing to lose here, agree to it. Putin's not going to agree to it, and the president of the United States will see it. We'll see. I don't know. The rumor is we're willing to make the trade. There are people within the Vance orbit, not the vice president himself, but those in the vice president's orbit. Some of his advisors have long advocated this, that basically distract Marco Rubio, give Rubio Venezuela and Cuba, and we'll give up Ukraine to Russia. They want that deal. It solidifies the Western Hemisphere, keeps Marco Rubio occupied, and the vice president gets to withdraw us from portions of Europe and away. I don't think that's going to happen. I think when the president of the United States becomes a laughing stock in Washington because Vladimir Putin has run circles around yet another American president, it's not going to go well for Putin. And the fact that the Russians actually sent the Navy to protect this ship and we took it anyway is suggests to me that maybe this deal isn't there. But you got to understand, it is circulating out there that this deal is being behind the scenes struck to essentially sell out Ukraine for Venezuela. And there will be a lot of people who would take the deal. But, you know, you still got to deal with the fringe forces out there within MAGA who think that even doing what we've done in Venezuela is not America first. You got the Marjorie Taylor Greene co-pinkers out there and the others who have decided we get to decide what America first is. They want America to be last is what they want, and the president of the United States realizes this. He says he gets to decide what America first is. So naturally, CNN trotted out Baba Yaga herself, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who gets to go on TV and say, I get to decide what is America first. Poor old Marjorie. I mean, the woman got some bad juju. Have y'all seen the New York Times profile of her? They went out of their way to make her look like Baba Yaga. I mean, she had this like dark, shadowy turn to the side, backlit photo where it looks like she would eat your soul to replace the one she doesn't have. I will eat your soul and decide what America first is. I know what America first is. Donald Trump does not. Ooh, CrossFit man. Marjorie, she's getting her 15 minutes of fame in the media. She's gotten on MSNBC and CNN. She's allied with the Code Pinkers, and she's decided she knows what America first is. I mean, the way she treated her constituents in her congressional district, I mean, they came last. Her TV hits with Matt Gaetz came first. She wants to put America last, along with the Code Pinkers. Have never met an American operation they wanted. It's kind of wild. You've actually got that Ryan Grimm guy out there. He's that far left writer. Many of you probably, thankfully, don't know him. He's all over the internet. He writes for a bunch of publications. He put out a picture of a man with his children and said, the American government killed this man, leaving behind his children. You know who the man was? He's dead now. Is a Cuban mercenary who was protecting the former president of Venezuela who murdered a bunch of Venezuelans. But this grim guy hates America. It is kind of wild to remember how much these people hate America. We get to see it on social media now. There's so many far-left progressives, and now Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are allied with him. You got Steve Bannon out there attacking the president. Steve Bannon, a man who literally tried to rehabilitate the image of Jeffrey Epstein, is out there attacking the president over putting American interests first by kicking China, Cuba, Russia, and Iran out of Venezuela. So I did a hit with my affiliate WTIC up in Hartford, Connecticut this morning. Brian and I were on talking, and did you guys know, because I didn't know this, I knew that Iran and Hezbollah had operations in Venezuela, but as I mentioned to you the other day, and it's documented, it actually is real, there's an island off the coast of Venezuela where Iran was making drones for the Russians for the Ukraine war. We blew it up on the way out, having extracted Maduro. Iran was literally making weapons in Venezuela, weapons that could be used on us. Iran was doing it in Venezuela, and the president of the United States blew it up, got Maduro, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and her ilk don't think that's America first. If that's not America first, I don't know what is America first. America first is, what is that, surrendering from the world and coming in last and letting everyone else bully us? No, thank you. We'll lead, please.
Y'all, I'm not a New Year's resolution guy. I never have been, but I have resolved, I guess you could say, before the New Year's to just drink more water. It's good for you. And I buy bottled water for the office, but I finally broke down and I bought a Cove Pure. So if you don't know what it is, it's an incredible machine. It's got technology that's certified to remove 99.9% of contaminants for the water. It gets rid of PFAs, microplastics, pharmaceutical residue, fluoride. It gets everything removed. It's the purest water you can get, and you just pour tap water in the back and let the filters do the work, and it just works. When I used it for the first time, I didn't realize you could heat up the water. You can chill the water. You can just have regular tap water at room temperature, and it just works with the push of a button. It sits right on the countertop. Didn't have to call a plumber. It makes it really easy. Cove Pure is so easy to get pure water with the push of a button. Do your New Year's resolution, improve your health with the real clean water. Right now, you can get $200 off for a limited time at covepure.com/Eric. That's COVEPURE, covepure.com/Eric, ERICK.
I need all of your attention, particularly if you're in one of my Georgia markets. I got about 20 stations in Georgia. This is very important for all of you, but through the Southeast, you need to listen to the President of the United States. Someone get Matt Ryan to tune in to WSB in Atlanta, Arthur Blank, wherever he is. He needs to tune in and hear this. This is very, very, very important message from the President of the United States. And I think those of you in Georgia in particular and in the Southeast, you should pay attention to this. And I quote, "This is the President of the United States of America. Hire John Harbaugh fast. He and his brother are total winners. Hire him." President DJT. Yes, the Ravens have parted ways with Harbaugh. He's been there for like 18 years. They've parted ways with him. You could get yourself a great coach, Atlanta. You get Matt Ryan and John Harbaugh together, and maybe I would actually go to a game. I would. I'd get one of those pizzas that last time I went left a blister on the top of my mouth because you served it so hot, but it was delicious, so thank you. I would go. I'm not going to go for your garbage that you've been serving up, though. Hire John Harbaugh fast. Arthur Blank, you got the money. Do it. Do it. I beg you, please do it. Now, I need to tell you about Swiss America because they've been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time, and they want to make sure you are protected as the government tries to direct you to debit and credit cards. You know, they're the trusted leader in precious metals. I actually have gold coins from Swiss America. They're good people, and they want you to get their report completely free. All you have to do is call or text 800-289-2646. Did I do that too fast? You just text them. You don't even have to talk to a person. They'll text you back the link. 800-289-2646. Or on cash includes crypto. Yeah, the government's trying to spy on your spending. You know, Gavin Newsom has this new bill out that if you have a crypto locker and you haven't made trades in 3 years, the government can seize it. Yes, that's legislation pending in California. All you got to do, call 800-289-2646 or text Eric to it or go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric. SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. Have you seen precious metal prices? Let Swiss America get you sorted out. Message and data rates may apply. 800-289-2646. I want to confess something. I actually am pretty terrible about daily Bible reading, and I need to get better. And one of the great things I have encountered is Glorify, and I'm glad to tell you about them. This episode's brought to you by Glorify. It's the #1 Christian daily devotional app, and it's helped me focus better on reading the Bible and diving into daily devotions and meditating on God's Word. And they've got great sleep meditations as well to help you wind down at night. I've enjoyed using the app, and I wanted to put it on your radar. I thought you might as well. You get full access to Glorify for just $29.99 for the entire year. That's Glorify's lowest price ever. You download the Glorify app now at glorify-app.com/Eric, ERICK. Feel closer to God this year with Glorify. It'll help you get focused on Scripture. Get full access all year for just $29.99 at glorify-app.com/Eric. This is the part of the program some of you are going to get mad at me, and I'm okay with it because I'm right. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. I will take your phone calls after I get this off my chest. I don't like the way the President of the United States is treating Denmark. Did you know in March of this year, Greenland had elections, and Greenland voted overwhelmingly to stick with Denmark? In fact, there was a surge in sentiment in Greenland to stick with Denmark. Denmark fought in Iraq and Afghanistan with us. They lost soldiers in both Iraq and Afghanistan. They actually participated in some of the fiercest fighting in Afghanistan, and they only left Afghanistan in June of 2021 as Joe Biden was winding them down. Denmark was one of our very last allies to stick with us in Afghanistan. For the President of the United States to come in and bully Denmark over Greenland, threatening military action to take the island, is a horrible thing to do. We're the bad guys here, and you need to understand this. Donald Trump and his administration are the bad guys here. America will be a great nation as long as we are a good nation, and this is not good that President Trump is treating an ally this way. We have military control over Greenland already. Here's the thing. We ourselves, the United States, have chosen not to invest in the military expansion of Greenland, which we are entitled to do under our current agreement with Denmark. Did you know that? Because that's not coming out in the conversation with the president. Does the president know it? Has his team advised him we can expand our military assets in Greenland under our present deal with Denmark? Denmark owns Greenland. Now, in fairness, Denmark has not done a whole lot for the people of Greenland. Suicide is very high in Greenland. It is mostly an agrarian fishing economy. Nuuk, the capital there, they are building a hotel. There are so many American tourists who are suddenly interested in going to Greenland that they're having to expand hotels there, and they have fewer hotel rooms in that capital city than they get tourists. Americans are driving a tourism boom to Greenland. The food there, by the way, terrible. I don't want to eat whale blubber. What the president's doing, though, is going to undermine himself. Why? Because, the Danes have actually been attacked by allies in the past. And now, you got to go back to the 1800s. But the Danes were attacked by the British. They were attacked by the Prussians, all of whom were at the time purported allies. So the Danes have a very long memory and history of their allies attacking them. We are NATO allies with Denmark. They've been very loyal partners to us. For the president to crap all over them like this is unseemly, and we are the bad guys. Now, Marco Rubio has come out and says this is a pressure campaign to convince Denmark to sell Greenland to the United States. That's stupid, too. Why? Let's be real honest the way this is going to work. The Danes are actually pretty solid in Europe. You don't hear much about the no-go zones in Denmark. They've been actually the former queen of Denmark. She's still alive. She abdicated. She's very, very pro-Western. She's actually a massive Lord of the Rings fan. She was one of the original artists, illustrators for Lord of the Rings. She was very pro-West, very pro-Republicans in the United States, and not a big fan of massive immigration, and urged even her liberal governments to restrain immigration in Denmark. The Danes are pretty hardy people. Copenhagen is a beautiful city you should go to. They have been very pro-America. The Danes have been some of the most American-friendly country in Western Europe. They've been more with us, more supportive of us, and more willing to fight with us than even Germany, France, and Great Britain. And the president's crapping all over them now. That's really unseemly for the president. And to say we want to buy Greenland, we have $39 trillion in national debt. Where are we going to get the money to buy Greenland? We're going to have an economic boon, and the redevelopment of Greenland is going to drive up GDP? I mean, I can see that argument to some degree, but we're not going to take the excess revenue and pay down the debt. That would be then what, $45, $50 trillion? I want to be very clear here. I would love to have Greenland. We need to surround the shifty Canadians and make sure they know we have an eye on them from every direction. America's top hat, we will be the feather in America's top hat if we have Greenland. Totally fine with the president's initiative to get Greenland. The way he's going about trying to do it, though, undermines him. Why? Because all the Danes have to do is say nope and then dare us. You know and I know the president is not going to militarily invade Greenland. Now, we can say that, but I see people on Twitter say, I would say that, but January 6th, you never know. President's not going to invade Greenland. Marco Rubio says we're not going to invade Greenland, that's a negotiating tactic. Really. I'm not going to pull the trigger on this loaded gun, but I want you to give me your purse, lady. This is bullying. We shouldn't have to bully because we already have access to be able to build up our military in Greenland. And by the way, had the president gone to the Danes and said, listen, here's why we need this, they'd have helped us because they've been the subject of sabotage attacks by the Russians. The Russians have been cutting undersea cables in the Baltic that tie into Denmark. I don't listen. I understand the president's personality here. But when you got Stephen Miller going out there and blustering on Jake Tapper's show and saying the things he's saying about Greenland, it's just a bad look for the United States. I like to think we tend to be the good guys, and we do tend to be the good guys. But this isn't being the good guy. This is actually being the bully. This is actually being the bad guy. This is Stephen Miller on CNN the other night.
I just wanted to reset, Jake, by making clear that it has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake, I understand you're trying very hard to, which again, is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm trying to get an answer to the question.
That says Miller refuses to rule out the United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
One last question, Stephen.
Doesn't make any sense.
One last question.
Y'all, well, I'm sorry, but you're being an ick day on television, Stephen Miller, over this. I realize you're on the spectrum, but you're just unpleasant to deal with on these sorts of things. And I realize you're standing by your man and you're performing on television for the president over this stuff. Greenland has been a part of Denmark since before the United States existed. Why does the United States have claim on territory that has been claimed by the Danes since before we existed as a nation? Now, let me talk to you in real terms here. Those of you I haven't thoroughly aggravated for daring to be critical of the president and Stephen Miller here. Why do we want Greenland? Let's start there. Why? Greenland is technically in the Western Hemisphere. And if you were to plot where Russia's nuclear arsenal is, Russia's nuclear arsenal to get to the United States must sail over the island of Greenland. That's why we want it. More than 3/4 of Russia's military operations, were they to incur into the Western Hemisphere, would sail over Greenland. It makes strategic sense for the United States to control Greenland. It does. The president's not wrong in this. However, in March of this year, the people of Greenland had an election, and they chose to stay with Denmark. Not only did they choose to stay with Denmark, the pro-Dane party picked up seats. They didn't get home rule in Greenland until 1979. They really didn't get true self-government until 2009. They're not just a protectorate of Denmark, they are an actual colony of Denmark, and they've embraced it. What the president should have done is say, we need to boost our military presence in Greenland. You are threatened by the Russians. We are threatened by the Russians. We need to expand our military there. You've previously agreed, so we're going to do it. And again, I can't reemphasize this enough that we've already got the permission of the Danes to expand our military. You know what they're going to do? They're going to say, screw you people. We're tired of this. We're tired of being bullied by you. We're not going to let you do it. Get out. And do you literally believe the United States is going to invade? We're not even willing to invade Venezuela. We just went down there and grabbed Maduro. We're not going to capture the flag and capture the island. We're going to cause an international incident. You got Republicans in the United States Senate telling the president this is a bad idea, back off. The Danes don't play. The Danes are not the French. The Danes are not the Norwegians. They're not the Germans. They're the Danes. They were with us in Afghanistan until the end. They were with us in all the hard fights in Afghanistan and Iraq. They died next to us on the battlefield. They were there fighting with us when other countries walked away from us, and we're going to treat our allies like this. It's shameful, it's disgraceful, and it's going to undermine the very thing Donald Trump wants, which is greater military control on Greenland, which we could get from the Danes. They've been willing to give it to us. It is a lie to say they've denied us. They actually signed agreements with us to allow us to expand military control. I do not understand why, when given the path of least resistance, this administration always trips over itself to make life difficult in accomplishing the goals of the president. The only thing I can figure out is there are a lot of isolationists within this administration that actually don't want Greenland, but they go on television and radio and perform over Greenland while at the same time sabotaging the president's agenda. You make it a lot more difficult for the Danes to want to deal with us by doing the Stephen Miller dog and pony show on CNN, refusing to rule out military action, saying it's ours, it should be ours, everybody knows it should be ours, give it to us, dang it. Are they actually trying to undermine the president's military expansionist agenda? Because that appears to be what's going to happen. The Danes are actively contemplating throwing us off the island now. Why would they let us stay when the president's not even, he's threatening military action? Literally this morning, they reiterated that the military option is not off the table. Marco Rubio was telling everybody, no, this is actually a negotiating tactic. We're just trying to bully them, weaken them, wear them down, make them sell it. This is not good. Stop defending everything. We shouldn't be the bullies with an ally that bled on the battlefield with us. And I agree with it. And this is the most frustrating thing. And you got to hear me say this. I agree with the president's stated purpose. We do need greater military capacity in Greenland. We do. It makes total sense. But they've gone about it the wrong way. They continue to make life difficult for themselves and complicate things that should be easy. I've never seen a presidential administration complicate all the easy things just to be jerks to everybody else. It's mind-numbing to me. It's like the president taking over the golf courses in D.C. He could have gotten everything he wanted by sitting people around, presenting his vision, saying, we're willing to raise the money and do this. Instead, he's like, screw you people, I'm in charge. Now there's a lawsuit. Nothing's going to get done. It just, I had somebody say, it's a strategy. Sometimes you got to break the glass to get stuff done. You've broken the glass and sliced open your feet trying to walk over the glass to get where you wanted to do. It didn't have to be this way. Rarely does it. And yet, again, they just complicate things for themselves. This hour of the program brought to you by Van Allen Golf, makers of fine, awesome, beloved golf equipment. Y'all, I love my new putter. VanAllenGolf.com. It's ALLEN, VanAllenGolf.com. You can text golf to 33777 as well to get the link. You should check them out. Ron in Dayton, Ohio, you're going to be up first today. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, sir, for taking the call. Appreciate the opportunity. Want to give a disclaimer real quick. I voted for Trump 3 times, love the policies for the most part. You know how it goes. But absolutely agree wholeheartedly with your comment. Donald Trump needs to learn how to sell instead of tell. He is not a good salesman. He is a great businessman that knows how to make a profit, but he does not have the gear to sell more effectively with people that don't agree with him. It's been a sore spot with me forever. I've even called my local congressman and offered to come and do some training for them because they need it. I've done that most of my life, and I can give you the resume. No need to go into it. But it's been extensive at a very high national level. But anyway, aside from that, doesn't matter. The point is, Donald Trump makes his own problems simply when he could take a step back and do some more selling and get his way anyhow. You hit it right on the head. I don't know if he'll ever change, but, man, he needs to.
Ron, look, I appreciate the vote of confidence on this one. Yeah, look, I completely agree with his idea on Greenland. 1,000% agree with him. But trying to bully them from the Danes who've held this island since the really before the 1700s, in the 15th century, the 1400s, they've had ties to them going back to my ancestors, Eric the Red, Leif Erikson. And it just, yes, he's going to undermine himself on this one. You can sell the vision to, you've already got the Danes willing to allow you to expand the military there. So just do that. It just, I'm flummoxed by the bullying. It's not a good look. Now, you know what's a great look for you? The tankless water heaters from Rinnai. I've got one, and they're remarkable. I never run out of hot water. I love having Rinnai as an advertiser because I believe in their product so wholeheartedly, made in the USA even. In fact, they're made right up the road from me here in Georgia. Tankless water heaters. You go to talkingtankless.com, and you can talk about getting rid of your tank, a big water heater that's one day going to flood your house like what happened to my house. Thankfully, ours was in the crawl space under the house. I had a buddy of mine who had a water heater tank in his attic. Flooded the whole house when that thing finally went. The tankless water heater, it sits on the side of our house. It uses gas. Our power bill has gone down. My kids never, ever fight about hot water in the house again. It's been glorious. I can stand in the shower all day long if I want. And I take a long shower. Oh, I love it. Take a long shower. Shower beers are just, I'm a big fan of the idea of a shower beer. And I can stand in my shower all day with hot water. Thanks to my Rinnai tankless water heater, you can too. TalkingTankless.com. Go check it out. TalkingTankless.com. Get your Rinnai tankless water heater.